So today we were at the home of Donald Primer, a resident of Paradise, California, who, like many, lost his home in the November 8th Camp Fire. And we reached out to Donald to see if we could do this film shoot for a project called Climate Uprising. And the basic idea of the shot is to show how many people in this community and beyond are concerned about climate change and understand that there's a link between these wildfires and climate change. So this is what scientists call a climate-fueled wildfire, meaning climate change is fueling the ferocity and frequency of these fires. It's making them more deadly, and the fire season's getting 9 days longer every year since the year 2000, and in the last 18 years we've had 15 of the 20 largest wildfires in California history. 86 people were killed in this wildfire, 52,000 people displaced, and some 14,000 homes, like Donald's, were just wiped out. And Donald's home is right next to one of the many mobile home parks in Paradise. There are a lot of retired folks, a lot of folks living on the margin, a lot of renters who didn't necessarily have insurance. And we wanted that to be in the background of this image. When you drive through Paradise or you walk through Paradise, it's mile after mile of devastation, and it's really hard to visualize and communicate the scale of this disaster. And of the many haunting images you'll see if you come here, the mobile home parks are something you won't forget. And we needed to do this soon because debris removal is happening now, and they are prioritizing cleaning up mobile home parks to try to make room for people to kind of have a place to go back to. And they're scaling up the debris removal. We heard they're going from 40 crews to 140 crews in the next few weeks, and eventually 200 cleanup crews. So we really had to go ahead and do this, even though we knew that there would be a high chance of rain. And we wanted to bring in a jib crane, like a 30-foot jib crane, so you could get up higher and see the scale of what that looks like. It's not until you start to get up off the ground that you get to really get a vantage point and see how many homes were wiped out all in one compressed little area. But of course this speaks to the whole town, and that's hard to show. For this shot we wanted to start in the ashes and rise up. This is kind of a hopeful idea that people, rising from the ashes of Paradise is a climate uprising. It's an awakening, so we had Republicans, Independents, Democrats all gathered together, standing under one banner, Climate Uprising, and calling for bipartisan climate action based on the consensus of climate science. It's not a partisan issue to say we want policies based on science. Science is about as nonpartisan as you can get. There's a lot of bad actors and manipulation to create skepticism, but if you talk to the scientists, 97% of the world's climate scientists are in consensus that the climate is changing at a rapid and dangerous rate, and that it's being caused by human activity, greenhouse gases. And there's so much need in terms of recovery and long-term recovery, and we need to keep following the story and understand how complex it is to deal with a climate-fueled disaster. For a town like this to, it's going to take a decade or more, I think, for some of these places to get rebuilt and just be clean enough in terms of, just the environmental footprint. Sometimes these things can take a long time. It's incredibly complex. 10 years, right, just to rebuild a town. And that's actually like the same amount of time we have to address climate change before it's irreversible for hundreds of millions of people who will be impacted. That's what happened today, and it's a day I'm not gonna forget. The stories that people shared, the tears that were shared today, the laughter that was shared today, the hope that was shared. We made an image of this because words fail to describe it. I hope that this image can communicate the power of the story that this community has, as we can realize, like, this town story is all of our story. All of our stories are connected together, and There's nothing more powerful than telling our stories together and to see how they're interconnected. And that's what we have to do. We have to tell the stories of real people who've been impacted by climate change, so people understand and truly feel what it's like and what's at stake.
And everything I grew there kept me thinking I'm okay. Here in my easy chair,